Good evening and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this evening. And straight in with it. Lord Willie telling us to back off DD is a bit of a joke. That's one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. It's definitely one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. But there has been an update. Let me just check this a second. Let me just get rid of that. There has been an update from the North Curve Celtic. The North Curve Celtic are the email that is sending out updates from the fan meeting from last week. And as you remember, at the weekend, we had the 12 minute without the 12th man demonstration. And then the 3,000 fans came into the ground late on the 12 minute mark. Was it a success? That's entirely up to your own opinion to decide whether it was a success or not. But ahead of the game this weekend, there has been an email sent out regarding the meeting that took place on Wednesday the 10th of September at Gracie's in Glasgow. Thank you all who attended and dialed in on Zoom. After this very productive initial meeting, the fans' protest took place at Rugby Park. This was a successful first step with around about 3,000 fans joining the protest outside the stand before making their way into the stadium on the 12th minute. And as agreed last week, a steering group has now been formed with the aim of broadly representing the various elements of the support who signed the open letter. The first meeting will take place this evening. It's taking place as we talk right now. It will take place this evening. We will be quickly updated following this. The agenda for the meeting tonight is the steering committee criteria, the setting up of subgroups, the general assembly, the schedule meeting, and building an election process. Potential match day actions: Partick Thistle this weekend, the 21st of the 9th. Belgrade, 24th of the 9th. Hibs, 27th of the 9th. Braga, the 2nd of October. Motherwell, the 5th of October. And Dundee, the 19th of October. Now, first of all, before I go any further, we have to kind of compare and contrast about what's going on across the city, and it's nothing to do with it. But tonight, their fans, they're way ahead of us. I'm sorry, Celtic fans, and I know that we want to get some action going, but they've already had a meeting with their CEO. The Rangers and Fan Advisory Board says we've had a full and frank discussion with the CEO, the sporting director, and other people, blah blah blah. And anyway, blah blah blah. I fucking hate that. Why did I do that? I can never say that. The club continues to back the manager. Way! A stance that we forcibly challenged the full minutes of the meeting. They've had a meeting with their CEO and everything already. That should be a wake-up call to Celtic. It should be a massive wake-up call to Celtic that they're taking the lead when it's coming to grabbing the bull by the horns and just trying to bring people together. It's where Celtic is completely standoffish. But let's get back to the fan meeting that's taking place this evening. After the potential action days, the initial communication strategy will be spoken. Branding, name, logo, etc. Messaging, and how to best utilise Celtic fan media. Whilst we do not expect to come up with a full strategy around the branding, planning, actions, and the first full steering group, why do they need a branding? Why do they need a logo? It's not a political movement, guys. Let's just make some fucking action and get some action done. This nonsense of having to run it, and I'm sorry if this upsets anybody, it is on my own personal view, but this nonsense of trying to run it like a politics in Scotland's not that fucking good, and none of them are run that good. Sorry. And if your aim is to try and run it like some political group in the UK, well, fuck me. We're all doomed. That's only my personal thoughts on it. But anyway, I mean, I'm fully backing it. But I don't understand the need for branding, Logan, and all this shit. Anyway, whilst we do not expect to come up with full strategy around branding and the planned actions, our first steering group meeting will hope begin the process of building an outline of what that looks like. We will update the wider collective as far as possible, as soon as possible. Please note this communication will only come from the North Curve until a formal, appropriate process is implemented. Is it just me? Or, I mean, I'm maybe old school, right? And, I mean, I can remember the casual era back in the 1980s and stuff. And you just fucking got, sorry for swearing, apologies. You just got stuff done. If you wanted to protest, you go fucking protest. I grew up during the miners' strike. Although that was planned and stuff, do you know, it was just fucking full on. This calm approach is allowing the powers that be at Celtic to not be overly worried. Meanwhile, our neighbours next door are boycotting games and saying they're boycotting games, and they've had meetings with the hierarchy of their club. Is that not embarrassing enough, Celtic? Is that not enough to embarrass the fucking... I'm not giving a shit about fucking Liverpool. If you want to comment about Liverpool, Ian, there's no use being on this channel tonight, mate. Sorry. There's a lot more important things to fucking talk about. Fucking Liverpool. Who gives a flying fuck about Liverpool? I don't. And if it offends you, I'm sorry. But I'm Celtic through and through. I could not give a flying utter fuck about fucking English football or Liverpool. We've got a bigger fucking issue here. And right now we're being embarrassed by that fucking mob that are in 10th place across the city, who are making strides into trying to achieve their agenda. What are we doing? We're having fucking meetings upon meetings. Honestly. I've had a piss bad fucking day. Yeah, I know, language. Lorna, you'll find out on Sunday who's pissed me off today. Anyway, yeah, I'm fine. It's just one of those things. I'm drinking, so fuck it. Baz, our fans are too fragmented. Sunday has given a wee bit of insight on how much. Jimbo, it was no surprise to me. It was no surprise. Oh, Ian, calm down. Florida. I'm in pure Florida, man. I'm in Florida. It's called guerrilla tactics. Yeah, Mark, fucking just get stuff done, eh? I mean, I'm proper old school. I'm fucking ready to press the ban, Dexter. Honestly, I'm ready to press the ban button tonight. I'm in that kind of mood. Our fans are too fragmented. Listen, the way that the association stuff is run and the way that we have fans from all across the country and everything, I get it. And you know, I get it. And it was great, absolutely fantastic, bringing people together the way that we did and last week. But I just think that we're too slow. It is maybe because I'm old school and it's like, look, if you want to make a decision and you want to go for it. I mean, for me, running it like a political campaign, it's a waste of time. Sorry. But the people that are running it, do you know, they're making the decisions. We're just going to be given information to put out to the wider fan base. Anyway, I mean, I hope it does succeed. I mean, something has to happen. The important date will be... Matt, the computer's just froze. Why is this freezing? Strange one. The internet's frozen. Karen, are you listening? Nothing. The internet's frozen. Oh. There we go, we're back. No, we're not. There we are, we're back. YouTube censorship at its full. I think that was actually. I think we're just seeing YouTube censorship in full effect there. No, that was full on YouTube censorship, mate. Don't swear. This video's probably just been too monetized. It was just the video that stopped. Anyway, who cares? We are back. Yeah, the webcam's been hacked. I look beautiful now. Anyway, when it comes to this weekend, Peter Lywell's got into your router. That wouldn't surprise me, Jim. He's probably hacking it as we speak to shut me up. It's a big weekend for Celtic. No matter what happens tonight at the meeting, there'll obviously be an agenda for... Why is that light looking awfully red as well? It's better, a bit brighter. Swear again. No, I'm not swearing again. That was definitely an agenda by YouTube. Left for Unified mentions. Scotty boy. No, I've not been on social media all day. Sorry, mate. Fuck social media, politics, religion. It's just to divide people. Yeah, but Lanky, this is... I mean, I've just read out exactly the way that they want to run the... I mean, here's the full email. Last Wednesday evening, representatives from a wide range of Celtic supporters, clubs, associations, ultras group, fanzines, podcast and fans media gathered for what was described as one of the most united meetings of supporters in years. Over 120 groups, individuals were represented, including the long-established supporters organisations, newer voices from across Scotland, England, Ireland and further afield. The meeting followed on from the open letter signed by over 420 groups, individuals and the fan survey that drew in nearly 40,000 responses in just 3 days. The message was both clear and overwhelming. The lack of confidence in the current Celtic board was virtually unanimous support for removing key figures and building a stronger representation for fans. The opening remarks stressed the importance of united democracy. Supporters were reminded that no single individual group can dictate the way forward. Decisions must be collective and widespread. The agreement that the club recent statement was tone deaf. It showed contempt which the ordinary fans are being treated. The fan survey was shared. Over 99% backed votes of no confidence to the CEO, CFO and the chairman. There was a strong support for the creation of a fan advisory board and a properly democratic fan body of represented supporters' voices. Potential action, boycotts, ticket schemes, divided opinion. There was near unanimous backing for a visible protest such as late entry, silent protest and boycotting merchandise. And we still boycott merchandise for day dot. It's an immediate thing that you can do, and it's an immediate thing that gets it out there to the fan base, and it puts an immediate stop. You cut off the cash and they have to stand and take notice. Right now people are still buying Celtic shirts. People are still going into the Celtic shop every single day. People are going into every single Celtic shop around Scotland. People are still clicking onto the Celtic website and ordering stuff every single fucking day. But they delay it and delay it and delay it. When you talk about the boards delaying stuff, Jesus. Contributions from the floor reflected the breadth of the support. Some argued to focus on Dermot Desmond and the corporate governance failings. Others stressed the importance of achieving short-term goals such as targeting the directors or demanding accountability. Speakers pointed out that Celtic fans now have their own powerful media networks, podcasts, websites and social platforms, which must be used to amplify the campaign. Exactly, and that's what I am doing. Merchandise. Just fucking stop fucking about. Do you know, we're not at Celtic Park to the end of the month. Bring in the boycott of merchandise right now. Stop it. They will take note. And you'll be fucking amazed how quick you'll get meetings with people when you get 50,000, 100,000 people to stop clicking on a website and, hey, take my cash, take my money, go on, bitch. Go on, fucking take that dildo out of your arse as well. After much discussion and consensus, it emerged that immediate action. The first step was late entry protest into Rugby Park on a Sunday to send a visible message of unity and discontent with the PLC board. This would be accompanied by a public statement outlining the reasons and the objectives, making clear that the anger goes beyond results and focuses on years of mismanagement and broken promises. We'll get to the other side of the story in a minute. Finally, the meeting agreed to form a steering group across the supporter spectrum. This group will take forward plans for further escalation, coordination, communication, and ensure updates are shared. The message at the close of the meeting was simple. This is the beginning of a united and long-term campaign by Celtic supporters to demand accountability, democracy at the club, and that the club lives up to its values. That is that. What about the Paradise windfall? Yeah? Mikey boy, spot on. Wow. Never even thought of that one, Mikey boy. That's a cracker. Do you know, boycott the Paradise windfall? They'll say that, you're affecting the charity work. You're affecting works that's done in the name of in the name of Celtic. Yeah, that's a good one. Celtic fans are the cash cow for Celtic, and the board will keep pushing out as much merchandise as well. Yeah, they put out a little sale of merchandise as well, I noticed. So, Scotty boy, we'll have a closer relationship than you think. Because all my uncles that were, all minors, all came from Blingery. Just saying. So, yeah. Anyway. Celtic have got a little bit of backup by Lord Willie Haughey. Celtic fans rallying against Dermot Desmond to back off and be careful what they wish for amid criticism of the club hierarchy. A chunk of the travelling supporter waited 12 minutes before entering the park. We know that, but fans were less frustrated. Brendan Rodgers repeated calls for quality. We're just going over old ground here. Everybody is disappointed to go to the Champions League. Blah, blah, blah. That's what Dermot says. That's a fucking nothing article, isn't it? Dermot's involvement in the club has put us where we are. Let's back off a wee bit and keep supporting the club. He basically said everyone is disappointed to come out of the Champions League. But if you think about it, over the 30 years before were all hard times. We've actually been spoilt in the last 15 years or so. There's two sides to that argument, and I'm going to play devil's advocate for this one. There's two sides to we've been spoiled for 15 years. I've got a bit of the sun today, don't I? Is it just that light? It's that light in it. Yeah. Over the last 15 years, our biggest rivals in Scottish football have been an absolute shit show. And they've went from one mediocre manager to another mediocre manager. And if Celtic weren't as successful as they were with the finances that we have over the last 15 years, something would have been called on a lot quicker. And that's not Celtic's fault. That's the other teams in the SPFL who have not financially backed their own teams. We've been spoilt with Martin O'Neill, but the last 15 years we've been treading water. I don't think that we've been treading water. I think that we've been run very shrewdly. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Michelle. Kaiser's granddad was a miner from Valleyfield. He stays in Dunfermline. Valleyfield's a fucking hun. What is it with you, Kaiser, and your family staying in wee hun hellholes? Eh? What? Kaiser's family's got a thing about staying in wee hun hellholes. Anyway, we move on. When over the last 15 years, I think that Celtic have had an easy run of it. You can only beat what's in front of you. And I always remember back to when I ran the Joseph Rafferty bus from Kirkcaldy. And during the Ronnie Dyler years, people were saying we need a strong... There were Celtic fans then saying we need a strong Rangers back for the benefit of the league, to make the league better. Now, I remember at that time there were other clubs that were winning trophies and stuff. And I used to say to them, nobody said this during the 1980s when Rangers were ranked rotten. When Rangers were finishing 6th, 7th, 8th in the... Well, I don't think they ever finished 8th, but they're currently 10th in the league. And when you look over the history of Scottish football, it changed in 1988 when Celtic won the double, and the next year Rangers were basically financially doped from 1989 onwards. And then they started paying over the odds. And we all know the history of Scottish football. But that's what changed Scottish football. No other club in Scotland changed the way that they were running the club as much as what the old Rangers did. And I think that had a negative effect on Scottish football for 9 years. And they only won one treble in that 9-year period. One treble. With the almighty financial doping that they did at the time, they could only amass one treble. And Celtic were bad then. Celtic were really bad. To say that we've had it easy over the last 15 years is maybe a bit much, but when they've went from one crisis to another, we've basically just went on running the club the way that they have been running the club. Now, we can give them plaudits. That's why I love Ibrox, only happy place in the village. We should have built from a position of strength. Kieran, this is one of the things that I've spoke about many times, and when I first coined the term managed decline, I was laughed at, and I said it will come again. It will come again at Celtic. There's a period of... You can see the repetition. And we've seen the repetition this summer. And because of social media and everything the way it is just now, you get the instant reaction to the managed decline. Let's not fucking kid ourselves on. When the results come out on Monday, Monday's going to be a big day, because as we stand right now, Peter Lawwell is having to put some kind of communication together as he sits and reads through the financials of the company over the last financial year, and he sees increased profit, increased player trading value, increased wages, increased. And he's got to put a good spin on that. And he's got to put a conclusion paragraph. That conclusion paragraph, the conclusion paragraph is what we're all waiting to see, because that will tell us how completely out of touch and how much they don't fucking care about Celtic supporters. Now, we know that they don't. Hopefully that this steering group that's having its meeting tonight can... And I'm still sorry, but I feel embarrassed as being a Celtic fan tonight. The fact that mob across the city have a fan advisory board, and they've already concluded... Oh, wait a minute, I need to go to WhatsApp. 2 seconds. they've concluded a meeting with the CEO and representatives of the club. And this is just because they're in 10th position in the league. This is reactive to what they're going through at the current moment. And for Celtic fans, do you know, it's what the heck? I mean, they are sorry, but they are showing us up. It's just unbelievable, I think. Scottish football went down how long before that? The 1990s, yeah. Closet Huns on the board, they want us to be close to us. Yeah, they could do. Managed decline is spot on. Imagine another club was set up around a manager and not hire. Let's see. The whole thing about the managed decline thing, I mean, it started under Martin O'Neill, where Martin wanted to build on 2003. And to be fair, we'd spent a lot of... The meeting was online last night, Baz. Was it? The steering meeting. And they just put it out tonight. Oh, anyway, who cares? The whole managed decline thing really started under Martin O'Neill. And at the end of 2003, he wanted to try and build. But we had amassed quite a big debt line at that point. And we had a huge big bank loan, which the board didn't want us to go down that road, even though it was viable, even though that it was... But the board always had an objective of being the most successful team in Scotland while being not in debt and while being able to make profit. Because it is a business after all. It is a business. Whether you like it or not, any business has to be profitable to be sustainable. And the ethos of the Celtic board is to make Celtic Football Club sustainable. That will be mentioned on Monday's statement by the board when the financials get put out. If it is Monday, I'm saying it. Well, it's never a Friday because Brendan Rodgers has got his press conference on Friday. It will be Monday because then Brendan Rodgers is going to have a press conference to do on Tuesday, which the board might delay it a bit further. They might delay it another week, just so that Brendan Rodgers doesn't get all the difficult questions put at him. But he's good enough to go, it's nothing to do with me. But after Martin O'Neill wasn't able to take the club forward to that next level and build on the success of getting to Seville, along came Gordon Strachan and the wage bill came down. And we all know what happened. You know, the wage bill came down quite a bit. We got to build it up a bit, and then there was even more managed decline when Tony Mowbray come in, and it was just a nightmare. Neil Lennon then comes in, and we get a little bit of okay for a few years. Neil Lennon's even spoke about managed decline, where the squad declined in quality when we got rid of Gary Hooper, Victor Wanyama and another player, and we didn't manage to get players of a similar quality into Celtic, and that reduced the quality, and that was managed decline through his term as well. And then it got even worse because Celtic thought they could push it even just that little bit further. So Celtic, when Neil Lennon was told that, you know, Ronnie Dyler's coming in, and Ronnie Dyler went through an even bigger period of managed decline. And then it wasn't until Brendan Rodgers came in and Celtic could see that the money was going down. You know, the income was coming down. The income from being up at the highs that it was under Neil Lennon when he was in the Champions League with Celtic, the overall turnover had come way down. Profitability had come down. You know, even though they'd brought the wage down to try and compensate the loss of profitability to the club, they tried to maintain that profitability, and it just didn't happen. So they went out and spent big with Brendan Rodgers. Let's get bums on seats again. Season tickets sold out like that. 10 to 15,000 people in the stadium to welcome Brendan Rodgers, who answered the call in the night. And then even Brendan Rodgers noticed managed decline when we don't act fast enough to bring in his number one target in John McGinn. And then it was at that point that Brendan said, I won't be renewing my contract at the end of the season. I will see out this season, he said to Peter Lawwell, but I will not be renewing a contract at the end of the season. I've taken Celtic as far as I can take them. With the limitations that are on the manager, with the limitations from the board on spending, he was going to leave at the end of the summer. Peter Lawwell, thankfully, gets a phone call from Leicester. You can fucking have Brendan. He's off. Do you know what I mean? He's off. Brendan Rodgers that morning told Danny McGrain, it's nonsense. It's media talk. I'm not going anywhere. And then he goes and has a meeting with Peter Lawwell. Sorry, mate, we're taking the 10 million. You're out the door. Sign this non-disclosure so you can't tell anyone what's went on at Celtic. Boom, there's a little payoff, and there you go, out the door. We'll take 10 million for you. Happy days. Can't talk about it. That's the way that Celtic have been run. The only way that we're going to get an immediate impact on this Celtic board, and I'm all for, and I fully back the fan meeting stuff, and you know the agenda that's came out. No, the meeting's tonight, Kaiser, according to this. The email that I got tonight at 5:30 says that the meeting for the steering group is tonight. But anyway, it is what it is. Going forward, I think that the only way to really get this board to take note is by a boycott of a financial sense. Now, I don't want people boycotting games. I don't want people boycotting tickets, because that doesn't affect the board. It only affects the players on... No way, mate. No way. Oh, Scotty boy, we need to have a conversation offline. You need to hit me up on Facebook. That's mad. Lawwell won't resign due to his arrogance. It's off the scale. I'm not too sure. Something around us that got the English Premiership will spark extra spark that the league needs. No, that's never going to happen, Blackie. This nonsense talk needs to stop. Celtic and Rangers will never ever be in the English Premiership, ever. Mark my words, it will never happen. Never. And if it happens, your whole... If you want Scottish independence, Celtic and Rangers should never ever be anywhere near an English Premier League. That's all I'm going to say about that kind of thing. But anyway, let me just see. Lawwell's vision, quarterfinals for dividends, qualifiers for the fans. Yeah. Sport advice, that's where we're winning all the time. I don't think he's a double agent. I think that he's a businessman that is all about making profit for Celtic and making Celtic a profitable club. You know, there's a fine line between... I'm going to give the PLC a bit of backing here, and I'm going to tell them how to make sure that if you want to run Celtic the way that you want to run it, you need to get the football department in check. You can run the club and be very profitable, as they've shown, and they can sell players at a profit. But a few years ago, under Ange Postecoglou, we done it a little bit different. We brought in players way early. We brought in players the season before or the window before where we're going to sell a star. So we started a little bit of a conveyor belt, but then we paused. We stopped. It just, boom, disappeared. And that's the issue that Celtic fans have. That should be the issue that they're pointing out to the board. What happened to the conveyor belt of players coming through so that when you sold, when Aaron Moy retired, it was no big deal because Matt O'Reilly was already at the club. Nobody sat and bemoaned about the fact that Matt O'Reilly retired a year early. Nobody mentioned that the whole season that Matt O'Reilly ripped up his contract and went, my body's just done. My body's ghost. I'm just going to retire. Nobody spoke about it because Matt O'Reilly was already at Celtic. He'd already had some game time and he slipped right into that position. What happened is the quality of the player that we then started bringing into the club. And people say it's Brendan Rodgers' fault. Well, it's not, because Brendan Rodgers says he needs player for X, Y and Z position, and then he's given a list of players. And it's, well, you take the best of the bad bunch, and that's it. But anyway, in other Celtic news this evening, it is all going to be about the fact that I don't know what to call them, because it's the fan meeting overview. It's where there's the fan advisory board of other clubs. But Celtic tonight did put an email. Well, the Celtic fans groups tonight put out a meeting talking about the Wednesday that took place on Wednesday the 10th, and talking about the agenda for the meeting going forward. And the agenda going forward is the structure of the organisation, the steering group committee criteria, setting up of subgroups, general assembly, schedule of meetings, building to an election process. Fucking hell. By the time they get all this done, Celtic fans will be getting pissed off with it. I'm sorry, I'm just being realistic here. As much as I want this to work and I want us to get rid of at least one of the hierarchy, and the target for me is Peter Lawwell. It has to be Peter Lawwell, and I think that the target for Brendan Rodgers is Peter Lawwell. I think once you get rid of Peter Lawwell, and I did put out a poll, would that be good enough? Would that be good enough for the Celtic fan base to just have that one pole on the one head on the top of a pole? Who once a year at Scotland got a ticket for the Hibs game, it won't be going in late, paid too much for it. Yeah, exactly, Ian. I wouldn't expect you to go in late, do you know what I mean? Travelling all the way back, Kaiser, it's going to be 6 weeks down the line. And this is what defragments any agenda that wants that. When you're talking about change, we're not talking about political change here. We're not talking about changing a political party. We're not talking about trying to change an election. We're talking about getting rid of 2 or 3 people out of company. And sorry if it comes across as negative that running it the way that they want to do this agenda of running it like a political campaign, I just don't think is necessary. I think it's over the top. I think there is an immediate reaction that we can hit the board with. I don't trust Nicholson either. Yeah, it's maybe not a case of trusting Nicholson, but you have to think of the bigger picture. Sometimes, see, when you go into battle, sometimes it's easier to aim for a quick win rather than to try and get as many casualties as possible. I'm all for a quick win because I don't believe that a long drawn out process in this day and age, in 2025, is necessary. and it is just my opinion. I mean, I want rid of Lawwell. I think that he's the bad apple. When you have Brendan Rodgers saying, look, I work with Nicholson every day. Nicholson's just a puppet for Lawwell. In fact, get rid of the head of security at Celtic as well, because he's Peter Lawwell's puppet. John Shirley, you're mental. But we will settle after that though. Daniel, this is my question. And Paul Baird saying we need a total clear out of the board. Sometimes it's easier to get an initial win in a battle and move forwards and get a bit of progression. And when you get that little bit of progression, you can make changes. It's easier to implement change. But if we're going to drag this on, do you know, there's no knight in shining armour. There's no Fergus McCann out there waiting to take over. And for trying to get fans to pump in 8 million quid to get 5% shares, just so they can get a seat on the board, well, an advisory, the board don't even need to take note of that, of the 5%, really. I just think that there's quicker ways that you can. And Paul Baird also still wants rid of Brendan Rodgers. That will come. That will come. Thank you, Celtic girl. Thank you. It's maybe just two opposing views, and this is what's great about being Celtic fans, because there is always opposing views, and then we'll come to some kind of middle ground. And at the end of the day, we've all got the one objective, and that's making sure that Celtic Football Club is in the best position that it can be. We're trying to get the majority of fans on side to anything like this. Yeah, exactly. Flying Colin. If Dermot Desmond sells his shares tomorrow, who does he sell them to? There's nobody sitting with hundreds of millions waiting to pump money into Scottish football, and if they do, they want a return. They want a return on their investment. There's no sugar daddy that's won the Euro Millions that's just banked 150 million on the Euro Millions and going, do you know what? I'm going to buy Celtic and then fucking let somebody else run it. I'm going to let the fans run it. What I will say, if this is the way that they want to go down with the strategy, could you imagine running the football club under this same type of strategy? I mean, you'll get answers about the same time as the normal board just now. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's probably the City Group known to our club. I don't think so. I wouldn't take a job on the board if it paid me 10 million quiz. Big Baz, says Danny. Celebrity boxing ring. Lawwell and Brendan in this. Bring back Don Mackay. That's never going to happen, unfortunately. I think that we that was one of the biggest mistakes that Celtic ever made. I'd like the Euro Millions. Just saying, yeah, I think we'd all like to win the Euro Millions. David Lowe says he's got 5 million shares lined up already. Let the loons run the asylum. Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? I'm sorry, but I know how hard it is to run a business at the best of times, but trying to run one with so many agendas. Anyway, I mean, even if they do get the £8 million worth of shares that they need to have a little vote, it's not going to give them an overall majority. But anyway, have you ever heard what happened to Don Mackay and why he left all of a sudden? No. He's another one that was made to sign a non-disclosure and paid off handsomely for doing so, and he found another job. Yeah, right. Not crazy about Arras either. Better than Yanks. Look what the Glazers done to Man United. Yeah, it's be careful what you wish for. And I don't mean this in a bad sense. I mean, Dermot Desmond is not the owner of Celtic. He is not the owner. And I think that a lot of people think that he is the owner. And he maybe thinks he is the owner. He maybe runs about thinking he's the owner. He's just a majority shareholder. And I always think that to be and my honest opinion is our support, as much as it came together for this one task and it united for this agenda that we had last week in the meeting last week, there's too big an input to all go in the same direction if it was to go down the road of fan ownership, I think. But you never know. Anyway, Brendan Rodgers go at the end of the season. Didn't want him back, but we'll have to support him whilst he's here. But he regresses as a manager. We need fresh input. Jed Johnson says, exactly, Baz, be careful what you wish for. It's true. It is true. And Michelle's trying to hit on somebody's nephew by the looks of it. How handsome is your nephew, Stuart? Oh, come on, leave it out. But anyway, that is me done and dusted for this evening. It's we didn't even do a poll this evening. That's how engaged we were this evening. And there's not been as many people on tonight. It's been a really quiet night tonight. That's because I've not been here. Anyway, I shall see you first thing tomorrow. No, I won't actually, because I have an appointment at 9 o'clock. Paul, Vaz, how much does Celtic I've got at the end of the year accounts? We'll do that on Saturday morning. That'll be the Saturday morning. Michelle, I don't hate you. It just, when I seen that message come up, Michelle, it was like the last time I seen a message, and it was frightened everyone away at the start. I probably did actually. No, I didn't, because there was more viewers at around about the halfway mark. But yeah, pimp my son out. No, Michelle, it was just that's just banter. You know it is. Anyway, I shall see you in the morning. I don't think it's going to... It might be alive, but it'll be later than normal because I have an appointment first thing. On that note, have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans, wherever you are. We are all like Michelle. Have a fantastic evening, wherever you are, Celtic fans all around the world.